Well, that was a heck of a way to finish training camp.
Yeah, a little full-scale brawl, a little riot breaking out in South Philadelphia.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. The biggest training camp fight I've ever seen.
Yeah, when the Eagles and Lions practiced in '86, Buddy's first year, I wasn't there. I wasn't on the beat yet. There was a time, Dave, Phil Sheridan was covering for our chain, and it got so bad that they had to cancel practice. It wasn't at the end either; it was in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
That was not. That was just Buddy telling his guys he wanted to see who would fight. He loved it. Things have changed a little. The Eagles are lucky nobody got hurt. That was bad. It wasn't just pushing and shoving. It was a pile up. It was about 180 people. So it was a little touch and go there. And you could kind of see it coming as the practice went on. It was chippy, a lot of trash talking, a lot of pushing and shoving, late hits out of bounds, and it just kind of led to that one moment.
Yeah, it was not a super shock that it ended in a brawl. We kind of felt it coming. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast. I should mention that. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. This is our last daily pod of the summer. It was the last official training camp pod. So we do want to remind everyone, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods.
There'll be no shortage of pods.
No, there won't be. If you're watching on YouTube, click your like button, subscribe there as well. Just won't be daily pods anymore. That part of the summer is officially now over, but a pretty crazy way to go out.
It was, and we'll talk about it for most of the pod, but not all of it.
Let me set the scene a little bit. There were some minor scuffles before this, but in the final team period, Eagles offense was out there against the Colts first team defense. Kenny Gainwell runs the football up the middle, a nice pop at the end of the play from Zaire Franklin, Philly kid Zaire Franklin. So then right after that, the next play, Gainwell runs it again, and another hit by Franklin, which was I think up to the line. It was a hard hit. It was a thud, but Jason Kelce took offense to it. He ran over, found Franklin, bowled him over. Just completely wiped him out. And from the second that happened, the melee just went on. It was wild. Yeah,
and it was almost like everyone was expecting it. So everyone was kind of, primed for it.
Yeah, everyone was on edge.
Yeah. So from that moment, and everybody was kind of together. It was, it happened in a split second. It just started, and it was quite a while before everybody was separated. It was several minutes.
It was not Jason Kelce's finest moment. We know he can do no wrong here in Philly, but even he admitted he was wrong. Let's listen to Kelce's comments after practice. Well, after practice ended, he came back out and spoke to reporters.
Who wants to start?
So, Jason, what happened at the end there?
I think tensions just got the better of me. Certainly, we try and keep things civil on the field, and I think for me, I pride myself on being a guy that sustains the emotion and the level of play out there, and I let my emotions get the better of me. That certainly doesn't belong out there on the field, and just a little bit ashamed that it got to that level, and that I did what I did. So certainly, not happy about that, and I think very highly of the guys that were out there, in particular 44 Zaire. I think he's a tremendous player. I think all of their guys up front, and they brought a lot of intensity to the day, which made the practice intense. And I think I didn't handle things properly there at the end.
Did you get a chance to meet up with Zaire inside?
I did not. No, I think probably tensions are a little bit too high for that right now.
What was it about?
Yeah, so there you have. He's right. It was on him. He can't do that. And we've seen Kelce's temper kind of flare up at practices before, but instead of kicking the trash can this time, he took out a linebacker.
Yeah, and that was his reputation in Cincinnati, and he even talked about that when he did his interview with Howie Roseman on the podcast on their the Kelsey Brothers podcast. I don't know if you ever watched that interview.
Yeah, no, New Heights podcast. We'll
New
give them a
Heights.
plug.
Yeah, and he talked about how that was one of the reasons he was drafted so late. Was he had a reputation of just being a guy that got into a bunch of fights, and he joked about it in his interview with Howie. He was like, he's like, Howie, why did I go in the 6th round? And he's like, well, you're just fighting everybody. And you can't do that. He's calmed down a lot since then, but he's still, it's probably one of the reasons he's so great is he kind of lives that life on the edge. But you can't do that. If he did that in the game, he would have been ejected. Yeah. And they don't eject anybody, but he would have been ejected, and he would have been fined a large amount of money. I was just holding my breath. I mean, watching when they were separating everybody, just hoping that they weren't going to have to bring a card out or trainer. It's so easy to get hurt in that kind of thing. A football fight, helmets.
Yeah, the helmets. I mean, once you start throwing fists at helmets, the helmets win.
Yeah. Helmets are undefeated.
Pretty much. So it was luckily no one got hurt. It was wild. There's a bit of you that's like, it's fun to watch a little bit. It's exciting. The fans who were there
loved it.
Were excited about it. We had some fans behind us who were like, when's practice going to start up again? And I was like, guys, once there's a brawl like that, practice is over. They're not coming back. And it was at the end of practice anyway.
Now, one protocol thing, if you want to see the fight, there's a period of practice that after about 15 minutes where cameras aren't allowed, TV cameras have to shut down through the end of practice. You're not allowed to videotape if you're a fan, and there's a couple hundred fans at each practice who are selected season ticket holders in a lottery. There's maybe 6 security guards and 200 fans, so there's going to be videotape of that somewhere. It's going to show up somewhere on,
or at least like the aftermath of it.
Maybe not I'll bet most of it will show up somewhere because somebody's filming everything. As many people as there are, security can't keep them all from having their phones out. So we'll see. It was quite the melee. Yeah, I haven't seen anything like that either.
I was going to ask. I mean, I'm really not making fun of you this time, but you've covered a lot more training camps than me. Like, have you ever seen anything?
I like that you have to explain that you're actually not making fun of me.
Yeah.
I mean, when Buddy was the coach, there were fights every day, and they would be offense versus defense, and you would have giant brawls. And they're also doing 2-a-days for 2.5 hours. Yeah. There was no limitation on pads, so they were padded up every day. And you would get some full scale brawls. I don't remember this many people being in a pileup. I don't think I've seen that before. Not that I remember. Most of the fights back in the day were just like 2 guys and nobody else would come in. You would just watch those 2 guys fight until, Buddy would stand there twirling his whistle laughing, but yeah, it was, we certainly haven't seen anything. Really, there haven't been many fights since Nick took over at all.
It's hard to fight when you're on the field.
Yeah, I practiced for 12 minutes. I really have a chance. No, I don't remember. I don't think there were any fights last year. Maybe his first year, but there weren't any last year. Not one fight. There weren't any. I was in Miami for that one day joint practices, but Cleveland there weren't any. And I think that's one risk of joint practices. I mean, they do, because you see it with other teams having joint practices. You get a lot of these things.
Let's talk about that a little bit though, because yes, you should not get in a fight at practice. Kelsey was wrong. He admitted he was wrong. That part is obvious. Once you get through it though, and there are no injuries, can it be galvanizing?
I don't know.
I think it can be.
I think that might be a little overrated. I mean, they didn't have any fights last year and they went to the Super Bowl. I think everything they do brings them closer. They spend a lot of time together. Nick's really big on connecting, and they take it seriously. I'm not sure a fight. Maybe it does. Maybe. I
mean, if bowling helps strengthen your connection, then Kelsey bowling over a linebacker who hit Kenny Gainwell too hard ought to.
Maybe it does.
I'm not trying to give points for something that was out of line, but I think there is that element to it. Like Gainwell certainly seemed to appreciate that Kelsey stuck up for him.
Yeah, no, that's true. I guess my thing is I think they would have been really close anyway.
Probably. Yeah.
But I guess it can't hurt. The injuries that's what you really worry about.
Yeah.
With these
And
things.
it's a good thing this was only a planned one joint practice. Imagine if they had to do this again tomorrow.
Yeah,
They might not even do it.
it's a good question. Yeah, we'll never know, but it would not surprise me.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have a bunch of observations that are not fights, but let's finish up with the fights because there were more.
Yeah, and I was going to say, as I was leaving the media house, one of the writers from Indianapolis was right in front of me leaving, and he didn't hold the door open for him. He just let
Push them down the stairs.
well, there's no stairs there. It's just maybe there's one.
Yeah, but they don't know that. The people who are listening.
Yeah, I really wanted to cheap shot him. I really wanted to start something.
That's fine.
But we had them outnumbered. Philly writers had the indie guys out.
Well, that's true. But I do think there is something to the idea. We saw it last week with the Browns coming in here. We saw with the Eagles going to Cleveland last year. I think there's something about when you're on the road for a joint practice, you kind of naturally bring the juice.
Yeah.
Because think about the Eagles are at home. They practice here every day. They're not really getting up for this the way. I mean, the Colts got on a plane to come here for this joint practice 3 days before the game.
Right.
So it's kind of natural. And I thought they did. I thought they brought a lot of juice to this practice.
I think we saw that in Florham Park. Those might have been the best joint practices I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Was the Eagles Jets up in North Jersey. And the other thing about these, it's the one time, like during most practices, it's the Eagles offense versus the Eagles defense. This is the one time where they're all in it together.
Yeah. So let me point out that too. Kelsey took exception to the hit from Zaire Franklin on Kenny Gainwell. He would have a right to be upset if that was Nakobe Dean hitting Kenny Gainwell, because you're supposed to take care of your own players.
Right.
Not that you're supposed to try to hurt the other team in a joint practice, but Zaire Franklin has no obligation to take it easy on Kenny Gainwell if he plays through the whistle.
Right.
And I think that's just where this all started.
Yeah.
But even before that, we saw A.J. Brown took kind of like a kidney shot, in the back, lower back from a defensive back. He didn't like that one, and I was with him on that. I thought that was kind of a cheap shot. And then, of course, Derek Barnett involved in one earlier.
Upset of the year.
Not shocking. I do like it about Barnett. I like that he's so aggressive, but, man, it's every time there's a joint practice, you got to just almost hold him out. This time it was him and Jalen Carter. Carter's in the backfield, and then it's clearly over. And this is something the Browns didn't like last week either. Josh Sweat knocked the ball out of Deshaun Watson's hands. This time Barnett got his hands on Anthony Richardson. I mean, way late.
Way late.
Of course the offensive line didn't like it. They shove him, and then Barnett wanted all the smoke. I mean, he was that was not the last play of the period. He stayed out there and just kept jawing to the point where Milton Williams had to get him and basically corral him and guide him to the sideline. Shane Steichen, who had a weird homecoming today, I guess, had to get his offensive lineman back. So this was brewing all day.
I wanted to see Steichen and Nick go at it. How in hockey fights, the last people left are the two goalies.
Yeah.
And they skate out to the center.
I think
ice.
the NFL equivalent would be if the kickers have to start on opposite ends and start to fight each other.
Sounds more like a duel, turn around and fire. Now, there was even during 7-on-7, there was a play where the Colts completed a pass on Josiah Scott. I forget, it was a tight end. I forget which. They have 5 tight ends who are all 270. And Josiah Scott thought he pushed off, and he just walked all the way back to they were in the end zone. They walked 40 yards back to the huddle with Josiah Scott just walking next to the tight end, just staring at him and jawing at him, right next to him. And the guy was just trying to get away from him. And he just that's the kind of day it was. I mean, they were just.
I wasn't even watching the defense today. I saw Mekhi Gardner intercept the pass, and after he intercepted it, he tossed it to the receiver. I mean, that's a quick way to start a fight too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. They don't like that. It's a nice play by Gardner.
They do not. All right, let's go through the non-fight stuff. We'll start off with the injury report. Pretty similar to the previous day. The only update: Quez Watkins back at practice, limited participant. He did individual drills. He did 7-on-7s. He did not do team drills.
Britton Covey's still out.
Yeah.
That's getting to be a concern.
Nolan Smith missed his third day after being pulled for precautionary reasons. Yeah. I did see Amaro Ojimo out on the field.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign with his concussion that he's at least like progressing through the protocol after a really scary moment in the game on Thursday. Did see Zach McPherson and Sean Bradley literally roll out to practice. Good to see those guys. They have a long recovery ahead of them, but they're going to be around the team, which I think is helpful for the team, but also helpful for those guys to be involved while they rehab.
Yeah.
All right. Some depth chart notes. The first two, thanks to you and me peeking over to the other field when I wasn't paying attention to my field. We've mentioned this before, but I was with I watched the Eagles offense today when the fields were split. You watched their defense. Justin Evans out there to start the day with the safeties again.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, I mean, he is firmly in this race, and the fact that they're switching it up so late in the process probably bodes well for him.
Yeah, I think he caught their eye with the way he played in the Ravens. What was the first preseason game? Ravens game. Kind of put him in the mix, and he's not just in the mix. I mean, he's getting the first shot.
Yeah, I mean, these first team reps matter.
Yeah,
and
I think he's playing well. He's doing well with the reps he's getting. We did see Edmonds and Sidney Brown both got in there. I think Kayvon might have had one rep, but it wasn't a lot. Although he made some plays out there. I'll tell you what, any fight that's going on, Kayvon's in the middle of it.
Yeah, he'll mix it up.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, you mentioned the Ravens preseason game.
Yeah.
The mighty Ravens fell.
Yeah.
In the preseason on Monday night to the Commanders. How about that?
Yeah, the Commanders kept saying how it didn't mean anything. And after the game, they're like celebrating in midfield. Yeah.
There will never be another streak like it.
I hope not. I watched the first 3 quarters of that game.
Did you? I was in and out.
I was out after that.
Zach Cunningham, first team reps today.
He took every rep today.
It's his job, isn't it?
It's his job. I
think so. It really looks that way. I think they like Christian Ellis, but I think the experience factor, if it was, I think it's pretty even, honestly, between Cunningham and Ellis in terms of what I've seen. I think they're kind of giving deference to the veteran, which I get.
Yeah, I think it makes sense, and nothing against Ellis, but yeah, Cunningham. I mean, if you're getting every rep 19 days before the opener, whatever it is, and it's gonna be hard to unseat him at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Olamide Zaccheaus got slot reps with Quez, still not participating in team drills. That was pretty much all I had on the depth chart. Any other depth chart notes?
Let me check my depth chart notes section. I think we covered it all.
I'll give you one from the offense.
Edmonds got very few reps with the ones, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fred Johnson, second team left tackle.
Yeah. He's not bad.
Yeah. Think about him when you're doing your 53-man projections. I don't think it's crazy if he sneaks on there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Who was it? Malata. Yeah, Jordan Malata was talking about how high he is on Fred Johnson.
Fred Johnson looks pretty good.
Yeah, he does.
And he was like an unnamed. He was basically like which Johnson is that last year? We saw him in the locker room. A big guy. Is that Roderick or is that Fred? Fred looks the part as a tackle.
He does. He's wearing number 50.
Yeah. You got to rectify that if he's going to be on the real roster.
You would think so. And he's 26. He's not a kid. Mm-hmm. He's been around. He's bounced around camps. Played at Florida. 6'7", 330.
Big dude.
He's huge.
I saw him get out in front on a screen pass today. Looked good.
Yeah. He's on my 53.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay. Was he before I just said that? Because I kept my mouth shut.
I just put him on. No, he's been on there. I have a running 53 I keep.
Do you?
Yeah.
You got to crow Zetner off.
No, I'm keeping him on.
All right. Devontae Smith.
What a day.
Woo. man, this poor dude, what was his name? Darrell Baker Jr.
Yeah.
Gonna be having nightmares about Devontae Smith tonight. Mossed him twice.
He did.
I mean, he had good coverage on both of them, and Devontae just went up and got the football. For a guy who's as slight as Devontae Smith, he does not play like it. He's never played like it. So good on those contested catches. One of them, it was like back-to-back plays. One of them came on the sideline, and after getting mossed, the DB's like trying to point that he was out of bounds, and he just wasn't.
But there's a ref there too.
Yeah.
He was like,
he was in.
yeah, he was definitely
Impressive catches.
I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, he was out. That's why I didn't break that up.
Hoping that there's no ref around to make a call.
Yeah.
He was right there. It was an incredible catch.
Yeah.
It was
A few of them from Devontae today.
Yeah.
We saw, I mean, AJ had a couple on Sunday. My gosh, I just lost my days a little bit.
Yeah, I've been doing that all
Yeah,
day.
Devontae had three catches today that were outstanding.
I got here. This is off topic. I got here. I was like, oh man, the pavilion lunch is closed because it's Friday. I'm like, it's Tuesday. It's not even close to Friday.
Not even close.
Anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, that first one was, I mean, it was just as good a catch as you'll see at practice or anywhere. And it was a thing of beauty.
It was. His body control has always impressed me, and it did on these plays. And there was another one, and this is when the fields were split, so you probably didn't see this one.
I actually did.
Oh, did you?
Peeking over, yeah.
Okay. It was a botched snap. I don't know if you saw that part
I
of it.
didn't see that part.
Yeah, it was a botched snap at the beginning. And like sometimes you see a botched snap and you're like, the play's just dead. You know, the quarterback will just whatever, it's over. Jalen dropped the snap, dropped it, hit the ground. He scooped it up, set his feet, and just he did not hesitate a second, launched it like 40 to 50 yards downfield. Clearly liked what he saw pre-snap, trusted it, and then let Devontae go up and make a play.
Yeah, usually when that happens, the whole timing of the play is off.
Yeah, it was somehow in rhythm.
And I like the way you put it. You said how he casually picked up the snap. And that's just that's who he is. It's like some quarterbacks would, like you said, they might kill the play, throw it away, take off and scramble, try to salvage some yards. There's no panic. There's no alarm in him. He just casually picks up the ball and heaves it down the field. There's an inner calmness that no matter the situation, what's going on in the play, no matter how much it's messed up, he's just so flatline. We've said it before. It's the best word that describes him. He just make the play.
There's so many quarterbacks who just like go in the fetal position on those plays. I was impressed by him. I thought he finished off camp on a good note. He had one overthrow today on a ball to Dallas Goedert that really came at me. I thought it was going to hit me. I'm glad it didn't. But another sharp day. I thought he was really sharp on Sunday too.
He had a hell of a training camp.
He did. You know, and we haven't talked about him enough probably. Last year we saw these flashes and we thought, okay, he looks better, but it was inconsistent. This year, consistently great.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best quarterback training camps I've ever seen.
Yeah, right up there with Carson Strong. He has been magnificent, and I can't wait to see how.
Is this what it looked like when Donovan hit his prime?
I
Just
think
like
so.
knowing the offense, just running it so efficiently and smoothly.
This is what it looked like in 2004
when he had receiver.
when he had T.O.
I almost said receivers when he had receiver. Yeah.
This is what it looked like in 2004. And then, if you're tripling T.O., Todd Pinkston's wide open, and Donovan loved throwing to Pinkston. But yeah, I don't think we really saw that level, because as good as Donovan was his first few years, he didn't have anybody to throw to. He was throwing to Westbrook and L.J. Smith, and so I don't know if I've ever seen a quarterback have a summer like this.
Yeah, it was very impressive, really, from start to finish. A few blips here and there, but I mean, you're throwing a lot of footballs. That's going to happen. There was a period during like the middle of camp. We talked about it, maybe some arm fatigue. He didn't look as sharp, but he finished off really strong.
Sorry, Larry. We have a podcast. One of our podcast listeners or viewers who told me he says, you yawn on the podcast sometimes.
Yeah.
I was like, I never sleep this time of year. We're up early, down to practice, and I guess I just tend to yawn.
I'm not a yawner.
No, I'm not usually a yawner either. I don't know. Maybe it's just being here with you. I'm just doing it. I don't know.
I'm pretty juiced up.
You are.
All right. Trick play. This was a fun moment in practice. We found out more that made it even more fun.
Yeah.
A bit later. It was basically a halfback option. Mariota pitches it to Kenny Gainwell, sprints left, throws it downfield to Grant Calcaterra. Pretty throw from Kenny Gainwell, who is a lefty. It helped me. I know he's a lefty because I always watch the running backs warm up. So I saw the left-handed pass. I didn't have to wonder who the running back was. Knew it was Kenny Gainwell. But the fun part about this, Jalen Hurts revealed it after practice.
And it was a Shane Steichen play. They ran it against his team, which you got to love.
Yeah, that's fun. It was probably meant to just be like this fun, lighthearted moment. Oh, welcome back, Shane. And then both teams just beat the heck out of each other at the end of practice. That's
true. Well, it's interesting because it can be an effective play because defenses don't know he's left-handed. So, I remember that.
They do now.
Well, they do. But if you're running a halfback option in the heat of the moment, that's an advantage.
Yeah.
Because defenses don't expect the ball to be coming out of your left hand. Keith Byers 1 year, he threw left-handed. It's all he did left-handed. He did everything else right-handed, but he threw left-handed.
Oh, that's very interesting because I asked Kenny Gainwell if he does everything left-handed. And at first he didn't hear my question and he thought I asked, do you do everything well? And he's like, yeah, I do everything well. That's not what I asked you, Kenny.
He's had no shortage of confidence, that kid. I like him. But Byers 1 year, I think it was in '89, was 4 for 4 passing with 4 touchdowns. He actually, I think he might have led the team in touchdown passes that year.
I always too like to figure out who the emergency quarterback would be, even though now the 49ers Weiner rule gives the Eagles the option to keep
the Weiner rule.
Yeah.
But Byers, they would always, what I was getting, they'd always surprise people because he would throw left-handed. So he'd be running out with the ball in his left hand and then he would just.
Yeah. And that was fun because like we mentioned, the play was rolling left.
Yeah.
So Kenny had all his momentum going into the throw.
Yeah. But unlike Jalen, he can throw to the left side of the field.
Yeah. All right. I didn't even ask you yet. What were some highlights from watching the Eagles defense today?
It was fun to see Anthony Richardson, who is their starting quarterback now.
I'll give you my scouting report on him.
Big.
Jeez, he's huge.
Dude is huge. 4th pick in the draft. Made some really nice throws. The consistency is not what you want to see from a starting quarterback. They're going to take some lumps. But he made some big throws. He had a perfect ball to Alec Pierce, the receiver. Bradbury was all over him, and he just threaded it in there.
Pierce, the Cincinnati kid?
Yes, he is. In the left corner of the end zone. Yeah, it was a nice play by Pierce. How'd you know that?
I liked him in the draft. He was one of those guys who had a good pre-draft process.
Yeah. He made a couple nice catches, and Eagles, it's never a surprise when they take Cincinnati guys, right?
Well, that's why you always look into them.
Selleck, Trent Cole, and that Jason Kelsey guy, I think, went there. He had a really nice, maybe his best throw of the day was it was in the middle of the field, right over Zach Cunningham, who kind of leaped up and went over his hands.
Cunningham had a rough day in coverage, from what I hear.
He
some tough duty though.
Yeah, their tight ends are pretty good. That one was to Pharaoh Brown. 80% of their throws.
And then the little receiver Josh Downs came across the middle and caught one later.
Yeah,
I forgot he was there, honestly.
But he did get picked off by Mekhi Garner on the throw to Malik Turner. It was a nice play by Garner.
That's the one where he turned and threw it to the guy.
Yeah, he did. Sidney Brown had a big hit on your boy, Mo Alley Cox.
Is he my boy?
He is, yeah.
Okay.
You love talking about him. Nothing wrong with that.
It's a heck of a basketball player.
Sidney Brown just leveled him. Probably a little, and that's the kind of day it was.
He's a big dude, too, to level.
He's huge. He's like 270.
Yeah.
Sidney Brown didn't care. He leveled him. He flattened him. And then he had a short sideline pass to another tight end, Kylan Grant. So they got like 9 tight ends. And it was a short gain, and Reed Blankenship just smacked him on the sidelines for a short gain. It was like a 2-yard gain. It was a really nice play by Reed. And again, it was just one of those, you're not supposed to be that physical at this practice. And he was.
Well, I think you are.
Well, he was.
Yeah. I think you're not supposed to be that physical when you're facing your own teammates.
Maybe. Yeah. But I mean, they weren't tackling to the ground in theory.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But if you hit them and they fall to the ground, it's not a tackle.
Gardner Minshew had some nice plays against the Eagles twos.
Good to see Gardner.
Tight, TD, a really nice throw to Will Mallory in another tight end in the left corner of the end zone on Garner. But then Josiah Scott picked him off, and that was that was a nice. He had a KD. He had a KD on a really short, kind of easy pass to complete, and he kind of came out of nowhere and made a nice play on it, knocked it down. It was not a pick, but it was a KD. So that was good to see.
You go KD for knockdown?
Yeah.
Oh, I just go PBU.
KD's shorter. Not as many letters. Economy of letters.
33% less letters.
Yeah, Richardson, like did some really, really good things, and then certainly had some down moments.
I think it's going to be an adventure with him.
Yeah, it is. But boy, I think he's going to be really good. I mean, he's got a rocket launcher.
Yeah, I get why they're just why waste time if you know he's going to be the starter.
Yeah,
and he has the mental fortitude to deal with it.
Exactly.
You know, you throw him out there. Shane knows he has a little bit of a leash, I would think, with a rookie quarterback and a team that is dealing with some turmoil right now with their best player demanding a trade. So I think Shane has a long leash, and you got to just grow with that young quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah. I watched one-on-ones, Eagles receivers versus defensive backs. A.J. Brown against Kenny Moore was unfair. It was good to see A.J. work out of the slot a little bit in this one. So he did that in team drills, and then he did it against Kenny Moore because he will play there on occasion. Not as much as Quez or Devontae, but A.J.'s a fun matchup problem in the slot.
Yeah.
And he can run those routes too. So I like seeing that.
Yeah, and Quez is certainly comfortable outside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have those guys need to be interchangeable a little bit. Nick likes that. And even like OZ is, you think of him as having a slot body size, but he played more outside last year in Atlanta.
He did.
And he has speed downfield.
Yeah, he does. That was surprising to see those numbers in Atlanta, that he was outside so much.
Jaden Hazelwood had a couple of good reps in one-on-ones. Haven't really talked about him much, but he looks good, or he looked good in this practice. He dusted the one corner for a completion, and then the same corner got called for DPI down the field on him a bit later.
I like having the refs there.
It's nice. It adds a game feel to it, and you don't have to guess, like, was that a penalty? How do I mark that play down? But sometimes the refs get it wrong, too. I thought they were very quick to throw that flag on Kayvon Wallace.
Yeah, so did he.
Yeah, but that was, I think, maybe my favorite moment of today was well after the brawl ended. Kayvon Wallace was all the way down near us on the field, still talking to the ref about why he got called for pass interference.
Yeah.
It was probably a split second too early. I was surprised they called it because he was going for the ball and he happened to hit the arm of the receiver.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a penalty, but that's the big reason they're there. I mean, it's for the players to ask questions.
Yeah, no, and that's a good experience. Yeah. So basically, it was like Kayvon jumps the route. He's going for the ball, but as he's going for the ball, he hits the arm of the receiver, and because that contact was early, they ruled it DPI.
Yeah, I guess by the letter of the law it is, but
I really think in a game they'd probably let that go.
Yeah,
I think it'd be hard to see it in a game.
Probably.
Or they'd call it anyway because they just call penalties sometimes. I don't have too much else here. DeAndre Swift dropped a couple balls today.
I saw that.
Yeah, he's been so sure-handed all training camp. But then, sometimes during individual drills, I'll notice something and then keep a close eye on it during team drills. So maybe there's a little confirmation bias. But I watched him drop a ball in individual drills. he went back and did it again, caught it. But then he dropped 2 in team drills today. One was a wobbler from Mariota, which is like they're tough to catch, but you still need to catch it.
Yeah.
So I looked up his drop numbers. He's gotten better at it. He had a decent amount his first 2 years, only 3 drops on 70 targets last year.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a subjective stat, but gives you pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty
I
good
mean,
idea.
over the course of a year, you get it close.
I would think so.
Yeah. That's all I had.
Yeah. You have a stupid observation?
I did. Did you read it today?
I did.
Yeah. Shady was there, and he got the last question in for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. He said, what did he say? Who's going to win the MVP?
It was something about like
you going to win the MVP?
Something about like Jalen winning the MVP. What you think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see Shady.
It was. He's good on that show.
Yeah, he is entertaining.
He is.
He maybe not always the most thought out, but he never was. He's just always been entertaining. Good to see him. Dick Vermeil was at practice today.
I didn't see Dick. I did. Yeah.
Mike Mayock out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Any other?
I didn't see any other dignitaries.
Marvin Harrison was there.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see Marvin.
He was on the Colts sideline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he coach?
I don't think so. I think he's just
there.
Philly guy from the Colts.
Okay.
Hall of Famer. Is he Hall of Famer? I don't know if he's in yet. Did we hear anything on the seniors committee, by the way, before
Marvin Harrison's Roman Catholic, right?
I should know that.
I think so. Yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, yeah, I guess he would be. Reggie Wayne should be.
Reggie Wayne's next. So there's a little bit of a logjam because is Reggie Wayne in yet? Did he go in yet or no?
I don't think he's in, but I could be wrong. Let's see.
So there's a little bit of no, he's not in yet. He should go in. Andre Johnson needs to go in. There's a little bit of a logjam at that position.
Even guys like a guy like Henry Eller to me should be in.
Well, now
he's going to have to wait till the
you have to wait because there's kind of there's a backlog.
It's going to be hard because guys are going to get like numbers that would have got him in no brainer 20 years ago who may not be that caliber player. 17 games too is going to help, but today is the day that the seniors committee is. There's nothing on the Pro Football Hall of Fame page. There's 12 finalists for the up to three spots for the seniors, and Maxie Baughan, who just passed away over the weekend, and Al Wistert played on the 48-49 championship teams, are both finalists, and they'll whittle that down to 3, and then those 3 aren't guaranteed to get in, but they generally do. So,
shame about Maxie Baughan, by the way, who just died on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, he was 9-time Pro Bowler. He's actually, I think there's only 2 players who've made more Pro Bowls that aren't in the Hall of Fame. First 5 were here. He made the Pro Bowl 5 of his first 6 years as an Eagle. Then he got traded to the Rams. He wasn't happy here because the Eagles were terrible by then. Yeah. He was a rookie on the NFL championship team at 60.
Yeah. I met Maxie the day he went into the Eagles Hall of Fame with Brian Westbrook.
Yeah.
And that was such a cool experience because they played in 2 different eras. But hearing them just chop it up and like Westbrook asking him a bunch of questions, it was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And he coached for a long, long time. Coached for Ted Marchibroda with the Colts and then again with the Ravens. Coached at Cornell for a long time. In fact, his son is a tennis coach at Cornell, and he had lived in Ithaca. He had settled there in his later years. So, yeah, our condolences to the family and friends. Great Eagle. More Pro Bowls than any Eagle linebacker ever. 5 Pro Bowls just as an Eagle. So you can make a case he was the best Eagles linebacker ever, although you might get a disagreement from
Ben Sumeren.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah. I'm looking it up. So there were a bunch of receivers in the list of finalists last year. None of them were inducted. So Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith. Steve Smith? Did I see him? Maybe it wasn't Steve Smith.
The Eagle Steve Smith?
Different. Maybe it wasn't Steve Smith. The list of 15 here were Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, Torrey Holt, Devin Hester, who not really.
That's really as a returner.
Yeah. But between Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, and Reggie Wayne, I mean, all three should probably end up in there.
I would agree.
Yeah. Just like which one goes first?
Yeah.
Do they go any of them that go?
Probably Reggie Wayne. I mean, Reggie Wayne's career is insane. And people say, well, Marvin Harrison was getting the other team's first cornerback. Reggie Wayne was an incredible player.
Torrey Holt and Reggie Wayne, though, played with another great receiver.
Yeah.
Whereas Andre Johnson was almost literally by himself.
Yeah, but I don't know if he can hold that against, Reggie Wayne. I mean, Reggie Wayne.
Yeah, but it's got to give a bump to Andre.
Maybe.
His best quarterback was Matt Schaub.
Reggie Wayne had. Come on.
These other guys were getting Peyton Manning and Kurt Warner thrown to him.
Yeah, it's true. But, I mean, Reggie Wayne had, 3, 4, 7, 9,000-yard seasons. And most of them were like 12, 13, 1,400. Incredible career. Consistent. Never missed a game from 2002 to 2013.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anything else from today's practice that stuck out to you?
There was no music. Did you notice that?
I did notice it. I just figured it was because it was a joint practice and needed communication.
Well, they had music during the last sessions with the Browns.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they kind of sit down and agree on all the ground rules. Maybe Shane doesn't like the music.
Maybe if they had some happy music, they wouldn't have gotten in a giant brawl today.
A little happy, shiny, happy music.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, but it was an interesting day. Sad to see training camp end because basically we can't watch practice anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a break. We'll come back on the other side, talk about what we heard after practice, and then we'll put a bow on the summer, so to speak.
Sounds good.
Catch all the sports action and more at Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Whether it's the money line or the pass line, there's something for everyone in a great sports book. Rivers Casino Philadelphia. Philly loves a winner. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. After practice, a lot of the interviews were focused around the giant brawl that we just saw unfold in front of us. So Jason Kelsey, Kenny Gainwell, Zaire Franklin on the other side of the field. Anything that was not fight related that you heard?
Not really. And I give Jason Kelsey credit because he wasn't scheduled to talk today, but he knew he had to come out and be accountable and talk to the media. There really wasn't much. We talked to Wash a little bit.
That's Jeremiah Washburn, who coaches the overhang players.
Coaches the edge rushers. Yeah. He was talking about what he says. He was like, I'm telling you guys, Derek Barnett is really a lovely person. He's like, really a good guy. I'm telling you. I'm like, well, he's always fighting people. Say, I'm just telling you. So, but there wasn't. I talked to him about Josh Sweat a little bit. He was just talking about how we haven't really talked much about Josh Sweat. What a great camp he's had.
Exceptional.
Very, very good. And he talked about, he said he's more focused than he has been in the past. He said that's the one thing he's noticed about him. He's grown up, he's matured, and he's, I think he said he understands how good he can be now. And I think we're going to see that on the field this year. I think he's going to have a huge year. But there really wasn't a lot
Did Wash say anything interesting about Nolan Smith? Nolan talks about Wash quite a bit, like the two of them kind of figuring out pass rush plans and ideas.
Yeah, he said, you can see his natural ability. Anybody can see that, but he said he's the next step for him is really understanding his role in the scheme and really figuring that out. He said he's on his way to doing it, but that's the next challenge for him.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Talking to Kobe Dean a little bit, mostly about Zach Cunningham, because it looks like these two are going to be playing together this year. So just asked him a bunch about, like, what do you need to learn about the guy you're playing next to? And he said it kind of extends to, like, the guys in front of me and behind me, too. Like, I want to know the way everyone plays, but especially the guy next to you. It's just kind of a feeling out process, which is why all these reps right now are so important. And it's like, it's also why I roll my eyes a little bit when the Eagles tell me they have almost 3 weeks before the opener. You do, but at a certain point, you want to just get all the reps with the guys who are going to be out there, and you have to get them ready.
Yeah. And we asked Sean Desai about that, and he's like, well, when's the opener?
Yeah, you just decide that day and go ahead.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Yeah. And it's a lot on Reed Blankenship because he's got to, figure out. And he's a smart kid. I mean, I guess he can handle it, but he's out there figuring out how to play alongside 4 different safeties.
Yeah.
That can't be easy.
Yeah, I think at a certain point you got to just plug and play those guys.
Yeah.
After we can't see anymore.
That's what it is.
Tyler Steen, talked to him a little bit just about, learning 2 positions and his comfort level being a backup at multiple spots, which that looks like the plan. He was also asked if he could play left guard, and he said, I haven't done it, but I think I could do it, which is a fair question because you're trying to do the roster math and figure out who's on the team and who isn't. The more positions you can back up, the easier it is to cut someone else, honestly.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We know Stoutland values that tremendously.
He does. Yeah. That's all I had from after practice.
Yeah. That was about it. Yeah.
Okay. It was good to see Shane Steichen. I didn't get a chance to even say hi to him. I was hoping to after practice, but there was a lot going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the militia coming in.
Let's talk a little bit about just camp as a whole. Do you have any big takeaways from what you witnessed over 15 practices?
I guess that I think the offense has a chance to be as good an offense as we've ever seen around here. The defense might have some growing pains.
Yeah.
There's still pieces to be decided. There's a lot of new pieces. There's a lot of good players that aren't here anymore. There's a new coordinator who I think knows what he's doing, but there's a lot of change on defense. And I think the offense probably is at a different level than the defense. I think and just like we said earlier, just the level Jason's playing at is scary. He's scary good. That's what I was talking to Shady about. There's some guy in his shows trying to make a case that Justin Fields is better than Jalen Hurts. I was like, dude, how can you?
That's when people just conflate athleticism for skill.
Yeah.
And that's just not.
Yeah. And I think Justin Fields has a chance to be a good player, but Jalen Hurts took a team to the Super Bowl last year. Justin Fields was what did he win? 3 games?
Yeah.
So yeah. Ran for 1,200 yards. And the guy was making the case that Jalen isn't as good as Justin Fields because he didn't have as many passing yards. And I looked this up. So the Eagles ran the ball 37% of the time in the first half last year. They ran the ball over 60% in the second half because they were up so big.
Huge leads, yeah.
So if you took Jalen Hurts' first half stats and multiplied by 2, he'd have almost 5,000 yards passing. But they didn't need to. So they just kept running the ball, and it worked. So, yeah. And look, nothing against Justin Fields, but Jalen is a special player.
Yeah. He should become the second 4,000-yard passer in franchise history this year.
Who's the first? Sonny Jurgensen?
That'd be our buddy Carson Wentz, who still needs a job. Someone hire him. All right.
What's going to happen? But
I don't know either. Let's go through some categories here. Offensive MVP of training camp. Jalen, easy.
You could certainly make a case for AJ Brown. I think he's been that good.
Yeah,
but it's Jalen.
I think it's Jalen too.
Yeah,
someone's got to throw him the ball.
Yeah,
and Jalen was great all summer.
He really was.
How about defense? I agree with you there. Defensive MVP.
Blankenship.
Blankenship's a good one. I think Josh Sweat deserves a mention.
Sure. Yeah.
I would go Blankenship though.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 picks is hard to
and it wasn't
argue.
And even when he wasn't picking balls off him, he's always in the right place. He's physical. He's so smart, knows what's going on all the time.
Oh, look at you.
He's just so instinctive. Yeah, he's fun to watch.
How about the biggest surprise on offense?
Biggest surprise on offense. I think he's been hurt for a bit, but Quez was really good before he got hurt with the hamstring.
That's good.
And I thought it showed a lot of mental toughness after what he had been through last year to come out. And I thought there was a point where I thought they might trade him just to give him a new start. But he came out and was really, really good before he got hurt.
I agree with that. A shame to see him get hurt. You like to See him out there a little bit more. My biggest surprise on offense is that they never really even entertained a right guard battle.
Yeah.
I thought we'd at least see Steen mix in a little bit.
Yeah.
We talked about maybe some Kelsey time off, and you can get him out there. We saw that eventually, but not really. I mean, this was Jurgen's job. He was never going to lose it unless he was awful. I thought we'd see at least a little bit of the look of a competition, and there just wasn't one.
No.
Let's go to the defensive side. How about a surprise on defense?
I think Josh Jobe.
That's a good one.
There's a couple, but Josh Jobe, you forget like he was on the roster last year, and he was all right, but he looks really good, really good. Really like his coverage. He just seems a lot more comfortable. And I think that's the case a lot of times with undrafted guys. It just takes them a little bit. It takes them a little time to get it figured out. I think he's made a big jump.
That's a very good one. I don't know how much of a surprise it is, so I'm stretching this a little bit, but I want to talk about him. Jalen Carter has had some plays where you go, holy cow, this guy is going to dominate. And I don't know if it'll be consistently, but after seeing him this training camp, I know there will be moments in his rookie season where he dominates the guy on the other side of him.
Yeah, I was actually considering him, but I thought he'd be really good, but he's better than I thought.
Yeah, and it's all for him. I think it's all about being consistent and stacking days. He has to do that, but man, those flashes are special.
Yeah, they're fun.
All right, let's finish it with some disappointments. How about one on offense for you?
Offensive disappointment. That's a good question. Man, you go first. I'm going to think about this.
I'm going to tell you Brett Toth.
Yeah.
He was a guy who I had penciled in as a guy on the roster coming into camp.
True.
And they put him at second-team center, and he was awful to the point where they didn't even drop him to third-team center. He's playing third-team guard or tackle. He was a guy who they invested a lot of time in. And I know that he's not a starting player. I don't think there really were any disappointments from the starters in camp. But he was someone I thought was going to offer them some versatility as a backup, and I don't think he's making the roster.
Yeah, and it's hard to find a disappointment because, like you said, I mean, none of the skill guys were disappointing. Maybe Cal Cotero, he had a nice catch today. Zacchaeus was a little disappointing early, but I thought he picked it up. Yeah. I might say Jack Driscoll.
Okay, yeah, he struggled a little bit.
Yeah, he didn't have the camp I expected him to have.
Yeah, not for a veteran going into year 4. Pretty important role now.
Yeah.
And he hasn't really lived up to it. How about on defense? Any disappointment?
Did we just do that?
That was offense.
I'm so confused.
We're on defense.
Defense. So that's the guys. Okay.
Those are the guys who try to stop the other guys from getting in the end zone. Whereas the offense tries to get the ball.
How about Greedy Williams?
He's a good one.
That was a second-round pick a couple of years ago. He started, 21 games. I thought he would at least compete for that third outside corner job. It was like from day one, he just looked like there was nothing there.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he's in the league this year.
It didn't look good, and I was high on him. And I think this is sometimes I show a bias toward players I liked coming out of college, and they're like draft pedigree, and he was one of them. Another one was Miles Jack. When they brought in Miles Jack and threw him in the first team, I'm thinking this guy is going to be a starter this year.
Yeah. And
that has not worked out. He is home getting ready for trade school, presumably.
What do you think he'll do? Plumber?
Electrician. Because if he's preparing for a zombie apocalypse, I think electrician is going to help him more
than plumber.
I'll
go electrician. That works.
Okay. Although plumber, at least he'll have a pipe he can hit someone with, like a zombie.
Yeah.
Nice guy. Wish him the best.
Good guy.
Yeah. Hey, don't want to make it I'm not really making fun of him because.
Oh no, I admire that.
It's time to hang it up. It's time to hang it up.
And this is a guy who's made $50 million in his career, almost $50 million. I think it was 46, 47, and he wants to work. He said, I get bored sitting around watching TV. I want to work, and he's going to do that. And I totally respect that.
I do too. All right. We good to wrap this up?
Yeah.
If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, you know what to do. Do us a favor. If you know what to do and you haven't done it, guess what? It's time to do it. Rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, subscribe there as well. We appreciate all the kind words throughout training camp. It is a little bit of a grind, but we enjoy it. We enjoy bringing all that to you guys. That's it. All right. For Rube, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye. We'll talk to you soon.